cereal.
Welcome to the Five Live Bears Halloween Spooktacular. Well, that kind of blew that straight in the wrestling,
in it.
Yes. Yeah, it was sounding so good too. We were right there in the middle of it this evening. Welcome to the Five Love Bears podcast. It is October 28th. This is our Halloween show, and those who are on YouTube can tell that the set is very spooky.
Yes, if you want to see something very scary, go to YouTube, type in Five Live Bears, and see my face.
That's right. We got the faces for horror movies. Aaron is so horrible that he isn't even on the podcast regularly. He's just in Texas.
Dang, son. We just called you so ugly you in another state.
Aaron, are you with us?
Cold in Texas right now because that was a cold burn, brah.
Are you ready for Halloween, Aaron?
I'm ready.
You got one that's still. Is he trick or treat, or is that banned in Texas now? Do y'all still do trick or treating down there?
Yeah, he's trick or treating. He has like a Minecraft skeleton costume or something.
Nice. I remember one time I went as a box.
Aaron, do you guys celebrate Halloween or Day of the Dead in Texas?
Both.
It's just a week-long thing down there. They just
You know what
love
they
it.
say about Halloween in Texas, right?
It's bigger.
There you go.
It's bigger in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
We are just a couple days from Halloween, and it's big here in Kentucky. I mean, we do the what is wrong with you? What are you doing?
We're laughing.
Doing the three little mates from school. Like,
Oh, okay. I thought about asking everybody on the podcast tonight to dress up in their Halloween costume, but I didn't want to break out the proton pack and
Bustin' makes me feel good.
Oh, it does, especially after all the time I've spent making it. Hey, after we're done this evening, I'll show you the.
I'm just gonna walk behind you the whole time you're out on Halloween singing that.
My niece would probably love that. She
dressed
would.
as Ray Parker Jr. Or Huey Lewis, since they stole that riff from him. Yeah,
Exactly.
Huey Lewis would be great. They might be like, "Who's that guy?" I'd be like, "What's Huey Lewis? He's hanging out." They're going.
You can be the news.
Last year on Halloween night, man, it was crazy. We go to my sister's house every year. She's going to be on here later. Right now, a little bit later on the podcast, and I mean, really, really sooner than later, we're going to be talking about haunted house attractions and some things like that. We're not really going to get so much into the ghost stories. We got several little ghost stories we're going to tell this evening on the podcast. Susiness is my daughter, who is our Susie, is setting in with us this evening. Brian is still out with the baby. He's taking a couple of weeks off.
He's still out with the flu. I mean, the baby.
Yeah, he's taking FMLA, and that's what he's got.
Did he get the paperwork in time?
Well,
for the
yeah,
podcast?
we had to. We had it was
Five
close.
Live Bears has paternity care where the mom and the dad get time off.
Yeah, insurance. We had the insurance go through last week.
Well, that's the thing, though. We actually wanted to get Jenny here, but you know.
Yeah, and it was a
Jenny.
We love them, and we're glad they're here.
Smart man.
We're hoping that Theodore's doing well this week. I don't know what he's going to be for Halloween. We should call Brian.
Probably a teddy bear.
I'll have to call Brian after we get talking to Carrie and see if he's going to go out for Halloween this year and what he's going to be.
I'll message Brian. Ask him.
What anybody in here? I mean, because we're all sitting here talking about it right now. Anybody remember what was the ultimate? And this is kind of a show where we're kind of going off the rail a little bit this evening. We don't really have a huge set format because it is Halloween, and Halloween. I love Halloween. I've always loved it, and we decorate, as you can see. We got our wonderful YouTube set decorated this evening, and we want to continue to thank everybody who continues to watch us on YouTube and continues to support us on there. We love you and we thank you for it, and we hope to continue to let this grow on there.
I love you for it.
And that doesn't mean we don't love the Facebook people and the SoundCloud people and the iTunes people and the Google Play people and the Podcast Garden people any less.
Where podcasts grow.
We love you all.
We love you all, but the fact is that the YouTube people show us a lot of love on there. We're very thankful for that. But Halloween costumes tonight. I remember one time I was just saying I went as a box. Now it wasn't supposed to be a box. When I was probably about 9, I was going to do a robot.
What's in the box?
Well, it was supposed to be this really cool robot, and I had a box, and my dad had actually cut me some dryer tubing for arms and legs, and then I had these rubber boots I had on. But for some odd reason, I don't even know why. I think my dad had to go out of town or something. We didn't quite get to the point of painting it, so it was just brown. So everywhere I went, it was like, where are you supposed to be? You're a dryer vent? I was like, no, I'm a robot. You don't look like no robot.
Yes, sir.
But that was still probably one of my favorite ones because it was something I made. Anybody else around got a favorite Halloween costume that you wore as a kid? Anybody? I mean, I know I just threw it
I
out there.
don't remember any of my
Let me-
Halloween costumes except for one. So
Probably our Sugar Skull ones we did.
The Sugar Skull ones were pretty
Those were
cool.
cool.
Yeah, I like the
Yeah,
Sugar
those
Skull
ones.
ones.
Yeah.
Aaron, do you remember any costumes? I remember.
Well, I know that when we were older, me and you did Mario and Luigi like homemade costumes
That
before
was-
anybody
that was
else was
great.
doing,
that was good.
That was really great.
and it was before they were selling them in stores and stuff.
Yeah, we bought
so.
all the stuff off Amazon. We bought overalls and long sleeve shirts and our own hats.
And the fact that you were threatening the children as Mario and Luigi made it even better.
Hey, you kids, take the candy or I'll punch you in the face.
That was at a church.
Mamma mia!
That was a church at a church trunk
We
or
had a
treat.
princess toad. We had a princess and a toad.
Yeah, I remember
With
that.
us, yeah.
I remember all that. Yeah. There's this, and people still do it, but it was one of the funniest things ever. Is churches got to the point they were like, "Hey, don't go trick or treating next door because you'll get an apple with razor blades in it. Come to church and get candy from the trunk of strangers' cars." That was
Or climb through the trunk.
yeah, or climb up in the trunk. I remember, who was it? There was somebody at church. I can't remember their name, but they had like a van, and they was set up with a black light in the back, and they just had this white hand that would come out and hand candy out of the back of the van.
I remember that.
That was pretty cool. I can't
That
remember.
was Mr. and Miss Pedo.
Don't think it was.
fell off
Oh man, I just saw that. Susie, could you
Yes.
grab our skeleton there and
Okay.
help him
Wah,
out? Help a brother
wah.
out here a little bit on the skeleton, or you can just leave him laying there on the
Just
floor.
just leave it.
Just leave it.
leave
We
it.
just we don't need him there.
Let me do my favorite Inhumans Black Bolt impersonation. Ready?
There it is. Man, that is amazing. It looks just like Charlie. What was yours? What did you have going around Halloweening?
I don't remember any costumes that really stood out when I was a kid, but my favorite costume I ever made was one year me and a couple of friends were going to go as the suit getting really obscure, guys, apologize, the winter dance party. That was when the Big Bopper and Buddy Holly and Richie Valens died.
Yes.
We were going to go as the zombies of those guys. Well, they all backed out, so I dressed as the zombie Big Bopper.
Oh, it's awesome.
It was a pretty awesome costume.
Did
That-
you
that is
go to
pretty
each
cool.
door and go, "Come on, baby"?
That's Chubby Checker. I said hello, baby, though, which is
Got my old obscure artists wrong.
yeah.
One of the
You got
best.
your babies.
One of
Oh,
the
man.
one of the best ones I ever heard of, and this was nothing here or nothing I did. I wish we had thought about this, but we didn't have it. So I read this that somewhere in some college town here in Kentucky, on Halloween night, a girl, the doorbell rang and she opened up and there was a door there in front of her door and it said knock on door, and she knocked on the door
yeah.
and it opened up and it was a college guy dressed like a grandma, and he was like, "Oh, your costume looks so great," and then handed her candy and then shut the door. That's one of the best ones ever.
Pretty great. Probably get you a shot though.
Yeah, nowadays it would just be over here. But
Your sister just posted on Facebook.
update.
Totally lost.
They go on these things all the time, and we're gonna patch her in here in a few minutes when we get to talk about this and see just exactly how the danger run is going. I don't know.
Ghost run. It's a ghost run.
Ghost run. Well, it's called the danger
I know,
run, but it used to mean more than what it does now, I think. But Aaron, do they have ghost runs and stuff like that down there in Texas, or is that just something that's more out our direction?
I think that's more of a Kentucky thing because the traffic's so bad down here, you would never get there.
Well, yeah, that's one thing that here in Kentucky, and they used to have more than they do now, but they have this one that starts over on Dixie Highway every year, and it's a ghost run. And if you're not familiar with what a ghost run is you start out and you go around, you drive around in a car, and they give you clues, and these clues are supposed to lead you to these smaller haunted houses. And when you get there, I don't know exactly how they work it now, but they used to where you get like a ticket punched or something, and it was timed. You saw how quick you could go from one haunted house to the next to it. All came down to one of the mega radio haunted houses downtown Louisville. And my sister and her husband and her sister-in-law and kids, one of which is 12 and one of which is 4, are out traipsing around Kentucky somewhere tonight on a ghost run, and they are completely 100% lost. But we here tonight are not lost. We are not lost here tonight. We are
found.
here. We are exactly right where we want to be. And tonight, because it is the 28th, we're not gonna do any pop culture stuff or any movie stuff like we usually do, except for a couple of lists. But what we are going to be talking about this night is some of our best haunted house experiences. Now, Susie's on the couch with us, and she has never experienced. Well, she has experienced one, and we'll talk about the Beach Bend haunted house here.
Oh yeah.
Soon.
Okay.
Here we go about Bowling Green,
But-
Kentucky. And that bitch.
It is the greatest place in the world.
It is.
It is awesome. Beach Bend is the
I
greatest.
had a friend listening to the podcast that told me that we should do Pee Wee Herman's secret word of the day every time you talk about Bowling Greens.
But one thing that's big
I
here,
forgot to laugh.
and it's huge everywhere, is
Come over there.
is the haunted attraction. And all,
Oh my god.
what the heck was that?
It was a ghost. Spooky.
What? Okay.
What was
It
what
was
ghost
a
was?
ghost.
That scared me because I didn't see it get thrown. I just saw it flash across the television screen.
Nobody threw it.
Charlie's throwing
it
stuff.
Came out of the wall.
He's throwing boxes and everything else.
I've not
Aaron, did you see that ghost?
Pretty scary.
Aaron sounds
I
terrified.
think he's eating a taco probably from Taco Casa.
A spooky taco.
Oh, it's got spooky ghost peppers.
Ghost peppers. It's got ghost peppers in it.
I'm sorry, John. Go ahead. What were you saying about Beach Bend or something?
I'm not talking about Beach Bend anymore. We're talking about haunted attractions, our favorite haunted attractions this evening.
I've got some great stories.
The first time I ever went to a haunted house, and this was back in 1992, and I'm a coward. I'm a flat out haunted house coward. I don't traditionally do or like haunted houses, but I was working at a local box store that starts with W, and my job was dipping dead fish. So it was kind of a dead end kind of position for me because
Literally.
it's like, okay, today you can dip dead fish, but if you're really good at it, tomorrow you can clean out the hamster cages. And, it just really wouldn't go anywhere, and I didn't really care for much. So these two buddies of mine that are not in this room came in. It was like 8 o'clock at night, and they're like, dude, what time you get off? I was like, midnight. They're like, no, you're leaving now. I was like, why? They're like, you can't tell you, but you're leaving now. I was like, okay. So I just went and clocked out and left. And come to find out, this brilliant place that we were going was one of the local radio station haunted houses. And I didn't want to go. But they informed me, and to be quite honest, the way Louisville is and the way these haunted houses are set up here in Louisville is they're not really in like the richest parts of town. So it would have been far more dangerous for me probably to stay at the car than it would have been to actually go into the haunted house. So they drug me through this haunted house, and it was absolutely terrifying to me. I don't even think I even looked up the first haunted house I was in. I think I kept my head like buried in the guy in front of me's back the whole time, and I kept hearing this person. It was like this vampire running around going, and they kept calling my name. That's all I remember is they kept calling my name, and I just wasn't into that. Later on, I got into it. We got some pretty cool
Later
stories
on, I
to tell.
really got into people calling my name.
Yeah, really got into it.
Really into it.
What you got, Tim? I know you've been dying to talk about your haunted house experiences.
Probably the haunted house that sticks out the most to me is this was 2 years ago. We went to one where they're allowed to touch you. And in fact, they had a sign out that said, we encourage like free hugs and stuff like that. So me and handsome Brad, beautiful Brent, and I don't know what Spencer's nickname is, but Spencer. Just Spencer.
Suave Spencer.
No, just Spencer. It's just Spencer.
Spencer's gifts.
Anyways, we went, and so every room we went into, after they jumped out and scared you, we offered them hugs, and like every one of them was hugging us, and gave Freddy Krueger a hug, and I turned around and he gave me a credit card swipe with his claw. That was kind of weird. But we did several different things. One of them, they take you in this old schoolhouse, and they have a tricycle, and they made me ride down a ramp on the tricycle. It was like almost like a big wheel tricycle. Seriously, and
I believe you.
And so then everybody thought it was cool, and so everybody started doing it. And Spencer did it last, and he was wearing white jeans, and he crashed into the mud. It was fantastic. But the kicker, we get in this one room, and we turn the corner, and there is this over 6 foot tall clown girl. Okay? And she makes one of the guys get down on his knees, and I've got a surprise for you. And she pulls out a sucker and gives it to him. And then he stands up, and she proceeds to bear hug him, pick him up off the ground, and like swing him back and forth, and then set him back down. And as every one of us walked by, she did that to all of us. She picked us up and swung us.
Was she on stilts or just a really tall lady?
I think she was a little bit tall and a little bit like had platform, but that was kind of frightening.
There's no way.
And thrilling.
I'd have flipped out.
And probably the scariest part about it is at one point they were giving everybody candy, and I said, and it was candy corn, and I'm like, I don't like candy corn. I really don't. And they shoved it in my mouth. It was gross. But anyways, it was one of the best haunted houses ever because it was just so fun an experience. But we went back the next year, and they weren't allowed to touch you anymore, so I think they got in trouble.
Well, that was because probably of you all.
She
You're
probably broke somebody's back at some point.
Or probably the Freddy Krueger guy being creepy is all good out.
Yeah, giving you a credit card.
Gave me a credit card swipe.
That's a little bit.
We get it.
If you need a visual representation, go to the YouTube channel.
No, we won't be showing any
it's
visual
good.
representations.
It's good,
on-
but yeah, that's the one. Oh, and one time I got locked in the closet at a haunted house all by myself
you got the best luck when it
because I
comes to
didn't
haunted
have
houses.
You had to get a security tag as you were going through this one, everybody, and I had one right away, and I made one of the actors mad, and he made me give mine away. And so we got to the very end, and like the lady's like, "Does anybody need a security tag?" And there were like 3 of us, and so I said, "I like your hat," thinking I was trying to suck up to her, and she's like, "Oh, well, you can walk with me, handsome." And she gives everybody else a security tag, and she walks in the front, and like they're like, "Does everyone have a security tag?" And I'm like, "I don't." They're like, "You got to go sit in this closet." They let everybody else go. And like I'm in this closet, and there's this other guy in there, like in the dark corner, and he comes out and he's like, "Oh, I've been in here for hours. They won't let me out." Like he turns into a zombie and he's slamming the wall, and I'm like, "Okay, can I just?"
You'll see that? No, that wouldn't have been me. I'd have been like, we got a spooky dookie in the closet. Would somebody please?
We got a coach, Spooky Doogie.
Would somebody please come,
I mean,
bring them up, and clean up the spooky
I'm sure
dookie?
it was scary. If that thing got to you, but I thought it was really that part was dumb. I thought it was cool that they locked me in a closet and wouldn't let me out.
See, but when it comes to you, and I mean, you don't believe in you don't have like ghost stories or anything. So you're like real reality based. Me, I'd have just been flipping out. I'd have just like, no way. I'd like to seen Brian in that situation. Brian would have been hilarious.
Brian would have like wrote him up for HR rules.
Yeah, he'd been, you cannot be in here. He would have gone out and he'd been like, "I'm sorry, but you got a guy who's been in there for 4 hours. He has not had a break. That is not right."
OSHA regulates.
OSHA regulates.
Aaron, you don't have any haunted house stories, right? Have you ever even been to one?
Yeah, I've been to a few, but I think my favorite haunted attraction was down here in Texas. I was taking the kids trick-or-treating in Mom and Dad's neighborhood, and we rounded the corner, and there was it had to be like 500 kids all in front of this house. And I didn't know what was going on. And they had music playing, and so when we finally got closer, they had this huge projector in their front yard, and they were playing a Thriller on the wall, like a video projection of Thriller. It was really cool.
We go to my sister's neighborhood every year, and some of them people in it just absolutely go crazy like that with their decorating.
Aaron, quick question on that. When you got
Yes.
there, did you break out in the Thriller dance in front of everybody?
I did, of course.
Oh, yeah.
That'd been awesome. He's wearing his Michael Jackson red zipper jacket and everything. He was ready.
But that's just because it was kind of chilly. He wears it all the
He's got
time.
that all the time.
He was just as
with 100 degrees outside, Aaron's wearing that.
as the Halloween spirits would dictate. He had it on that evening, and he was ready to go.
As fate would have it.
My sister, who we're going to have on the phone here in just a few minutes, talking about some of her haunted house experiences, and I think me and her have witnessed a lot of haunted house experiences together, is one of my favorite all time is we went downtown, me and her, and she had a friend with her, and it was my wife and some other friends. And we're all standing there, and we were like one of the last groups to go through. So all the actors and stuff in the place was already kind of punchy and kind of ready to go, but they were psyched to be getting ready to get out of there. And she gets into a conversation with the door guy, the guy who's holding the door, and he asks her, he says, "What's your name?" And everybody in the group's like, "Don't say your name. Don't say your name." Of course, she's like, "Carrie."
Oh,
My name's
you're done
Carrie.
for.
And we're like, "Oh, no." And he gets on his walkie-talkie. He's like, "Everybody make sure you say hi to Carrie this evening." And they open that door, and as soon as they open that door, you hear everybody in there start going, Carrie, Carrie. We go to the first room, and there's this girl like laying on a bed, and she's all busted up and everything. She's like, help me, Carrie, help me, all the way through this stupid haunted house. And even I was like, gosh, why did you give me your name? Because it was just on and on and on all the way through the place. It was hilarious. But she was nuts when she was younger. She actually drugged my wife by her hair across the. They have one down here in outside of a town named Brandenburg, Kentucky, and it's it used
That's
to.
the one with the paintballs now this year. But go ahead.
Yeah, it used to. What was it used to be? It used to be Nightmare Forest. I don't know if it's still called that or not. They've done some.
Field of Screams.
Is it Field of Screams now?
There's Nightmare Forest and there's Field of Screams. There's two different ones down there. They're like right across the street from each other.
Nightmare Forest was the one that we went to, and my sister had this really bad, horrible, just fear of Michael Myers. And anytime she saw him, she would just go nuts. And this one time, he like popped up out of the water or something, and she tripped my wife, and they fell down. My sister got up and started dragging my wife by her hair down the path, trying to get away from him. It was the funniest.
It's a wonder
Funniest
Carla
thing.
didn't knock her out.
Oh, Carla was not happy. I can tell you that right now, because Carla doesn't play with
Carla
the.
don't play, y'all.
No, she was like Tim going through the haunted house. She's like, that's stupid, that's dumb. I don't think she really got into it. I think the only one that really freaked my wife out was the Carrie's looking.
Make sure that she's not behind you.
No, Susie just looked up and was like, huh? You looked over this one. And said, huh? I don't know why I didn't look in the camera and see, but. The only one that
the TV screen.
it's Halloween, man. I mean, we're getting close. It's spooky things happen this time of year, and she, I think the only one that really freaked her out was this one over in Indiana. It was at this big mansion, and you had to get down and crawl, and there was people like looking up through the floor at you, banging on the bottom of the tube. And I don't think she really got into that very much. She was rather
It was
claustrophobic.
probably
about it.
tight spaces.
It wasn't her thing. And then I got picked up by a large man in a haunted house one time by my belt loop, and was told to move on, and was cussed because I fell down and lost the crowd. It was me, him, and his girlfriend standing there. He's like, get up, man. I was like, okay. So he just picks me up himself. And basically,
John, let me ask you a question. You
Yeah.
been picked up by large men often?
well, I mean, no more than you get picked up by large women and spun around in circles.
Have you ever been picked up
So
by
about once a week.
Yeah, just whenever I feel the mood, I go down to the local haunted house and fall down, and hopefully somebody will be there to grab me by the belt loop and pick me up.
Help me.
Yeah,
Is
help
that
me,
what you guys
please.
call it nowadays?
Yeah.
The local haunted house.
And being picked up by the belt loop. It's our thing.
I don't do haunted houses. It's not that I'm scared of the things. It's the jump scares. That's what gets me. And I'm just freak out. They're all good stories of me in haunted houses, but I won't tell them all. Usually involve words that I can't say on the podcast.
Oh, mine were too.
God bless.
Yeah, because them tight. The last one I went to was Culberson in Indiana, and they're going through the rules like don't touch the actors, they won't touch you, except she was like unless they know you. Well, I had a friend that was working there that year, so we're going through and
That is the creepiest when somebody knows you and you don't know they know you.
well, I knew he was there. I knew he was
well, I
working
had
there.
one.
I knew what room he was in. He was like, I'm
Oh.
doing the clown room this year. And I'm not a fan of clowns, as
Oh,
we've
you
discussed.
people and your clown phobias. It's
Man,
But
you,
anyway,
you
so-
don't even understand.
We get down there to the clown room, and he jumps on my back. He was a small fella. Jumps on my back, and I'm
little fella.
spinning in circles. Get off me, Shannon.
he was
Get
a
off
leprechaun.
me. And then one of the other guys dressed as a clown, that guy was dressed as an ICP clown. Not my friend, but the
A
other guy.
juggalo.
Yeah, he was a juggalo, and he's like, gets to my face, goes, "That's not Shannon." And I grab him by the shirt and push him, like, "Yes, it is," because Shannon's in my ear, going, "Have a good time, buddy. Enjoy yourself." Because he's funny like that. But yeah, that was my last and final haunted
I was
house
walking
experience.
through a haunted house one time recently, and the girl goes, "I know you," and I'm like, "No, you don't. Your name's Tim.
So that would
You
be.
go to Harvest Baptist Church."
Was she one of your former youth
I
members?
think so. I still to this day have no idea who it was. I was like,
But see, that's just creepy to me, man. You walk in a haunted house, and there's
Yeah.
somebody like, "Hey, Tim."
I slipped her a 10 spot. Like, here's this picture.
One of my all-time favorite, and I tell this story a lot to people. Haunted house stories of all time was when we took a bunch of kids from a youth department out to Nightmare Forest, and we had this one poor little exchange student with us, and we called him Henry. I don't even know if he knew that's what his name was.
No, that's what his name was.
Was that his name? I
that
wasn't
was
sure.
his American name.
Because we'd say, "Hey, Henry," and just kind of grin and smile
Well,
at us.
I mean, I think that was for. Never mind.
well, whatever. But he went with us, and I don't think he really got the concept of haunted houses because he was just kind of with us, and we're walking through there, and we get to this one point, and something happens, and it scares him, and another guy turns around and runs into him and knocks him down, and his glasses come off. his glasses go off, and he's down there trying to find his glasses, and we're kind of looking for him, and here come all the zombies up out of the woods, and they're all like, this one gets up right on me, and I turn around and look at him and said, that guy there just lost his glasses. And the zombie was like, and he stops, and he looks at me, and he pulls out a walkie-talkie. He's like, hey, can we get the lights turned on in the zombie forest? We got a kid up here lost his glasses. And they down the trail, you see where they stop the other group, and it's like, all these
Lit it up.
all these lights come on, and there's like 10 zombies and me and these 3 or 4 other kids out there looking in the woods for this kid's glasses. And finally we find them and hand them back to him, and he's like, yeah, we got his glasses. Can we get the lights turned on again?
Kids are right back on.
And the lights go off, and all of a sudden they were like, again.
It's funny. It's funny seeing them go from like acting to not acting to acting like that.
Yeah, it was hilarious because we were like, yeah, oh, yeah, scary. And then I scared the witch that same night in the maze.
Yeah, she turned a corner. And
Yeah,
you scared her.
She looked around the corner and I saw her, and she poked back around and was hiding. And I walk up to the corner, I was like, shh. And I jumped right across, like, boo. And she's like, yeah. I was like, yeah, I'm doing your job for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't know you talked like that.
I do. But on top of what we've been talking about this evening, as far as our personal attractions, as far as haunted houses go, we're gonna get my sister on the phone here as soon as I can call her up here again. I had her there a second ago and made sure she was going to be ready. She is running tonight, ghost running this evening.
There's only 3 minutes left on that.
Hello.
Okay.
Hello, what's going on, Carrie? You are on our podcast this evening. We decided to call you. We've been talking about haunted attractions this evening and our favorite ones, and I heard our talk show the other day. Want to know if you all want to be on here talking about horror movies and things, but you were going to be out doing a ghost run this evening, and we were just wondering, how is the ghost run going as you being our roving reporter on the scene?
It's not going very well.
Where are you all?
Well, right now we're headed to Shelbyville to the Black Orchard
The bar?
barn or something.
Is that a bar up there in
Yeah.
Shelbyville?
Barn.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you said a bar. I was
Barn.
like,
No. Well, first, we were actually, I think it was taking us to Pope Lick, but we got lost probably like 3 or 4 times, and it's getting later, so now we're kind of like skipping ahead.
oh, okay. So
So we have time to at least go to one.
have you been in any haunted houses tonight?
No. Just Dairy Queen.
Was it a Dairy Queen in Louisville or was it one in Shelbyville?
Was it the one in Fairdale?
No, it was the one Shelbyville Road.
Oh, well, when you get out there near Shelbyville, go into their Dairy Queen and slam the door shut and say, "Don't let anybody out. They're coming." And just make it your own little Halloween adventure.
Yeah.
Carrie, would you like me to read to you about the Black Orchard?
Sure.
It's an attraction
Reading
visiting
Rainbow?
the brutal murder site of the infamous Black Orchard murders. The atrocities were so graphic, Charlie, that they remain classified to this day. Silas Black and his family of killers remain at large. It's rumored that they have returned to the orchard where you will enter the barn and experience the darkest side of humankind. You haven't seen the evil that lies inside of humans until you see what's in the barn.
What's in the barn?
What's in the barn?
What's in the barn?
Did that get you and Megan and Mike psyched up for this adventure into the Black Barn?
Oh, yeah, they're pumped.
Are they? I can't. Are you on speakerphone?
Yeah.
Mike, hey, who was that? Was that Megan? Has she been to the Black Bar or? Sounds like she's having a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah, it's a ball.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Mike, so Mike, has the True Adventure just been driving all over southeast Jefferson County this evening and trying to avoid traffic accidents, or are you really having a blast?
The true adventure is being in a car with 4 females. That's my adventure of the night, and trying to keep my sanity.
Yeah, that's why we're all here in the basement doing a podcast, and you're all out there battling, looking for the blackberry barn of.
They're going to the Blue Oyster.
Yeah, I mean, there's literally barns everywhere, so we're just going to go to one.
Yeah, that's what you need to do. Just pull up and go in a barn.
I don't know if I would recommend that. Excuse me, sir. Can we go in your barn?
Go find the darkest, longest road you can. Pull up to that farmhouse. Have Megan go up and knock on the door,
And then drive away.
yeah, and then just blow smoke and leave her standing there. Now, that could be.
That's the start. That's the start of a scary movie right there.
Well, I mean, she would have her adventure, though. I mean, that would be what this is all about, isn't it?
That's exactly what it's all about.
Well, let me ask you a question, Mike and Carrie and Megan, since you're all here. And this is kind of getting off subject a little bit, but we've got a list this evening, a couple lists that we're going to be going through. And let me find it here. Who, in your all's opinion, Mike and Carrie and Megan, since you're all Halloween horror movie people, who would you say is your top? Let me find it here. Who is your top scary movie hero, and why?
Not the bad guy, but the person that fights the bad guy.
You all can. Go ahead, Megan.
I would have to say that mine, which would be Megan, would be Leatherface, just because he is based off of a real life guy, which is Ed Gein. He's pretty much the only one I've ever had nightmares over, so he's my hero. He scares me half to death.
Wow.
Well, okay, Mike.
Oh, you have to come back to me. Come back around.
They sound like Brian.
He's driving.
He's like Brian on here every week. He's like, I don't know, come
The
back.
role of Brian this week is being played by Mike.
Carrie.
Well, I guess mine has always been Michael Myers because Mom made us watch it when we were little, like every single Halloween. So that's the one that always scared me the most. And he was just creepy. He could just walk and catch you, like, no matter where you were running to or hiding or...
Are you going to go see the new Halloween movie when it comes out here?
Well, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure you just terrify yourself over and over again. All right, Mike, you're in the hot seat.
I don't know. I guess I'm gonna have to go with my boy, Jason Voorhees. He's been my sidekick since I can remember. I mean, I got a tattoo of his hockey mask on my leg.
Yeah, that is true.
That means something. That means something. I'm not sure what it means, but it means something.
Yeah, that does mean something. We're not sure exactly what it is, but I'm sure it. Don't you have one on yours?
Frankenstein.
Yeah, Charlie's got Frankenstein on his. So
It's Frankenstein with David Bowie's makeup.
yeah, he's got the Frankenstein one. All right, well, we appreciate y'all. What's that? What was that?
We almost got hit in the back end.
Well, that was scary.
Spooky adventure.
It's
It's
the
the Silas Black family in the Black Orchard Bar.
Yeah, the Tim just said
We
it.
gotta go.
It's that farmer. It's that farmer looking for Megan. How did you come on my property? All right. Well, if anything exciting happens or you actually find something, call us back and we'll put you on and we'll see y'all Halloween evening.
All right, sounds good.
All right.
Bye.
See you later. Bye.
By the way, I talked to Brian. Teddy's going as either Captain Hook or Donald Duck
Nice.
for Halloween.
Very nice. Well, since we're still talking about the haunted attractions I have a small list before we go on Aaron's list today, and these are some of the top Halloween attractions around the country. These are America's Scariest Halloween Attractions. This is put together by a credible source, the Travel Channel. So if Travel Channel says it is, it must be true. So number one on the list, and these are nothing I've heard of, but man, some of these are psyched out. There is no way I would ever go into these. Tim would probably love them. First one on the list is called the Erebus Haunted Attraction. It's one of the largest Halloween attractions in the world. The Erebus is a 4-story haunted house in Pontiac, Michigan that promise otherworldly giant monsters, bottomless pits, and crushing walls. Nope. I don't know about you all, but there is no way that I would be going anywhere that's crushing me with walls. I've heard of this one before. This one actually on one of their shows. It's called Bennett's Curse. Bennett's Curse is in Jessup, Maryland. It is consistently ranked as a top haunt because of its unique special effects and high-tech fright entertainment. It's checked out terrific for the terror attractions here. House of a Vampire, Sanctuary Insanity, and the Zombie Kingdom 3D also is involved with that. So number 3 on the list of no certain order is The Witches of Salem. I don't anything called Witches of Salem. I don't know. That's kind of one of them stories. As a history teacher, if you really look at the history of it, it's really all not that scary, but at the same time, it's got a lot of folklore behind it. This says, enter the corn maze if you risk. There's no corn mazes for me. Warns Witches of Salem, the nighttime tour indoor, Michigan will take you on a wild ride of dead ends, twists and turns the entire time. You'll be haunted by a creepy corn stalker. I should have called Carrie and asked them if they had run into the creepy corn stalker tonight. Beware of the creepy corn stalker.
Can we go back? Can we go back to Erebus real quick? I'm reading about it, so check this out. The actors along the walkthrough push the boundaries of privacy and how to touch the visitors without actually laying a hand on anyone by utilizing props, animatronics, and massive puppets. In one of the events, a 6-foot dragon comes out from the gloom and eats the patron. Some of the other effects utilize mirrors and include a moving wall pushing patrons toward a bottomless pit, as well as burying them alive.
No, absolutely not.
I got to go to this. Where is this at?
It's in
Michigan.
Michigan. You can make the ride. I'm not going. I'll be your designated driver. I'll be Aaron. I'll be the haunted house designated driver.
It holds for 4 years. It held the world record for the longest walk through haunted house.
Nope, not doing it.
Anyway, sorry to interrupt you.
Not doing it. Let's see. We've got 2 more on here this list tonight. This one here seemed pretty cool to me. It's called the Dent School. The legend of Charlie the janitor, a janitor from the 50s who killed students who taunted him, still haunts the Dent School in Cincinnati. That's not that far away. Toward this haunted schoolhouse where town lore says the missing children were killed. The picture of it looks pretty cool. I don't have pictures up, but I think that looks pretty neat. I should have told Carrie and Mike just take a left and head toward Cincinnati and go to the Dent School tonight. That would have been a better one. And the last one on this little small list here is called the Hangman's House of Horrors. Oh, Aaron, this is in your neck of woods, Fort Worth.
Oh, yeah. It's right down the road from Aaron.
You ought to go, Aaron, right now.
Okay, I'm going.
Hangman's House of Horrors in Fort Worth, Texas features a Cirque de Fantomos, as it's called, hillbilly revenge and a wild 3D funhouse inspired by the legends of Hezekiah Jones, a murderer known as the Hangman. This House of Horrors also includes less scary entertainment, live music. It wouldn't be Texas unless you had live music somewhere. It seems like part of the state constitution or something. Rides and, of course, karaoke. You can't have it without karaoke.
Oh, that sounds really scary.
Yeah, like hey.
Now that's the mesh.
Now this one actually does sound pretty good. I would be interested in this one just due to the fact because of its location. One of the most notorious prisons in the country. That's the Pennsylvania Eastern State Penitentiary.
I don't know if I do a walkthrough in a prison.
I don't know. You do a walkthrough in
That'd be a little too real for me.
You do a walkthrough in a tuberculosis hospital.
I did do a walkthrough.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I got tuberculosis from there.
Man, I tell you.
Something fell in my eye.
I remember. Was that the night we went and we almost got kicked off the tour?
Yeah. That was it.
Yeah, that was the night me and Tim.
Because you saw a television and you said, "Look, Tim, a TV hospital."
I said, "Look, Tim, it is a TV hospital," and they were like, "Show some respect."
And we guffawed together and they kicked us out.
Yeah, we almost got kicked off the tour because of that comment. I didn't realize it was going to be that bad, but apparently some people were very sensitive toward it. So, Pennsylvania Eastern State Penitentiary is now one of the country's top-ranked haunted attractions with its empty cell blocks and over 11 acres of frightening fun. New this year, Detrius takes brave souls past the historic prison greenhouse. Ooh.
Come check out the scary greenhouse.
Do not touch the rhododendrons. And into an outdoor labyrinth of overgrown, twisting vines. So if you live anywhere in those places,
watch out for the corn stalker,
and those tickle your fancy, well, then there you go. There's some of the haunted house or the best top 5 or 6 haunted houses in America. Even though I don't think we really set the parameters right for Carrie and Mike and them. Tonight we got 2 lists. We're going to be doing back-to-back lists this evening. Being that it's the Halloween season, we are doing the top 10 scary movie heroes. Those are the people that are being chased or are the good guy in the movie. And then we have the top 10 terrifying movie characters. These are the people who are the killers. I should have made
This
no.
list is going to make Charlie so mad. I just know it.
I know because
so mad.
because the leather-bound G-stringer from Tag is number 1 on both lists.
Well, makes sense.
He's the hero
Aaron,
and the villain.
In Aaron's mind, he is the hero and the villain of his life.
Aaron, how did you come to that conclusion?
I really looked up to that guy, so he was my hero. But I know that it traumatized Charlie, so that's how he ended up on both lists.
All right. Well, here we go. This is the top 10 scary movie heroes. This is honorable mention. Honorable mention comes as was that Laurel? I can't read it. Lori. Okay, I'm sorry. My glasses are
Halloween.
I'm having some trouble with my glasses tonight.
Honorable mention.
I knew it. I knew
Lori-
it. I knew it right away. Right away.
Oh yeah, Laurie Strode of Halloween. She gets honorable mention, and then Friday the 13th's Tommy Jarvis also honorable mention on both of those.
Charlie, I didn't want to list too many characters from the same franchise in the list, so that's why she got honorable mention.
Silence. All right, John,
Charlie's
lay
having-
the list on us before Charlie's head explodes.
Charlie's having some difficulties here.
I have
All right.
difficulties all the time.
Here we go. Here comes number 10, hero and a scary movie. I don't really think it is a scary movie, but I didn't put the list together, so I respect it. Peter Venkman from Ghostbusters. That's a number 10. If you're saying that Ghostbusters is a scary movie, then I think Peter Venkman needs to be higher on the list than number 10. But this is Aaron's list, so we'll let him have it. Number 9, Michael J. Fox and The Frighteners. I like The Frighteners. Frighteners is a good movie.
I love The Frighteners.
It's underrated. Totally
So
underrated.
good. Gary Busey's son is so frightening in that movie.
Jake Busey's great in everything.
I like it, man. Starship Troopers. Sorry, man. I can't be a squad leader.
Put
He
your
was
hand
a-
on that wall. Put your hand. The enemy
sidetrack.
cannot push the button if his hand is incapacitated.
Sidetrack. Gary Busey's
Only
Jake
good
Busey
bug's a dead bug.
is playing the character Gary Busey played son in Predator, the new Predator film. So Gary Busey was in Predator 2. Jake Busey's playing his son in Predator 4.
Amazing. It's just mind blowing.
So exciting.
Number 8, Demon Knight. Hang on. Okay, right list. Number 8, Demon Knight. Tales from the Crypt, Demon Knight. That okay?
The main guy.
Never seen that one.
It's a good movie. Tales from the Crypt, Demon Knight.
Yeah, but the character's name was Demon Knight, the hero.
Aaron.
I didn't look up his name. It's William Sadler playing it.
Yeah,
though.
Bill
He's
Sadler.
great.
But still, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, the guy from he's the one that protects him. He's great. I love Bill Sadler.
Number 7 is Sidney Prescott in Scream. Yeah.
Scream, modern horror franchise. It's been one of the top ones.
That was actually one of the. I mean, the original Scream was one of the last like horror movies. That, were you there? We went over at some friend's house, Lisa and them, and watched it together.
I think I saw it in the theater.
Did you? We went over
Yeah,
and saw
me
it
and
with them,
Scotty skipped school to go watch that.
and it was an absolute blast because it was one of them where everybody said, "No, it's him, it's her, it's him, it's her."
It was a good whodunit type.
And yeah, and that was back in the day too, and yeah, it was worth seeing. Number 6, Gizmo from Gremlins is the hero.
Yes.
It's number 6 on the list. Number 1 in your hearts.
Yes, Gizmo. I was a Stripe guy myself. Oh, I knew this, and this is going to make Charlie very happy. Rodney Piper, They Live.
Rodney, is that
Roddy,
Roddy's
I'm
brother?
Roddy. No, Roddy. I'm having some difficulty with my glasses.
You are sitting in the dark.
Yeah.
I just had the picture of Rodney Dangerfield in a kilt. I tell you what, I get no respect.
I get no respect in this.
I have to look at these glasses. Roddy Piper, They Live.
Oh, I love that movie.
Oh, it's such a good
I haven't
movie.
seen it in
Mama don't like telltales.
a long time. Number 4, there's something about these movies that I like, but at the same time they make me cringe, and that's the Aliens movies. Ripley from the Aliens films. What do you? Hang on, I got a beef with this one, though, Aaron. How come there's no mention of Bill Paxton from the Aliens movie?
Game over.
He's only in one film.
Yeah, and he doesn't last the whole film.
Yeah,
Spoiler
but
alert,
still,
spoiler alert.
still. I mean, yeah. Spoiler from what 1987.
Some people, man.
I think he should have got honorable mention though. I just think.
Why wasn't Paul Reiser mentioned as the hero?
Here we go. This one I agree with. This one I would have probably put it on there too. Ben Hanser, Night of the Living Dead. That's from the old school one. That's from that's from the
Is-
original.
He's the yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, he's the main
hero.
main hero, which is such an interesting film when you watch the documentary and you break it all down. It's really cool. Dr. Samuel Loomis in Psycho,
What number's that?
number 2,
Yes, from Psycho.
From Psycho.
and Aaron's number 1 hero. He's already laughing. Number 1 hero in a scary movie, Ash Williams of The Evil Dead.
Isn't Loomis from Halloween?
Well, actually, there is a character named Sam Loomis in
Listen,
Psycho.
look at Aaron trying to cover now. Listen to him.
Aaron's-
He's like,
And-
yeah, you know,
And,
well, you know.
and there's theories that's the same character.
Aaron did
from
this just
Halloween.
to harass you, Charlie. Just so you know.
I know. It's fine.
But number 1, I love Ash.
Yeah,
In
Ash-
the original Evil Dead, which is a creepy movie. The original like shot with old school cameras and everything. It's a great one.
I prefer out of all of them. I prefer the Army of Darkness. That's the one that I enjoy the most out of that.
It's a good
because
movie.
well, because it's toned down. I'm not big on that whole. There is no way in the world I ever watched the new remake of The Evil Dead.
I watched it.
I wanna see it, I just
Oh
haven't.
no, this doesn't really.
For as much as I love haunted houses like I will not go out into a cabin in the middle of the woods.
Oh no way!
Not
We can
gonna
talk about
happen.
that here in a minute. I've done that before.
Yeah, you told me that story.
It was terrifying.
All right, so then top 10 villains.
And then now we have the top 10 villains from a horror movie. Here we go. These are honorable mention horror bad guys.
Bad guys.
Honorable mention. I think you just had to put this on here because it's popular right now. Pennywise from It. Susie, you haven't you're playing the part
I
of Brian
know,
tonight. You're not
yeah.
saying anything. So what do you think?
Okay, yeah, Pennywise, cool character.
Now, in your view, since you have watched by proxy the new movie by piecing
Yes.
together all the trailer parts
I
and
haven't watched it.
everything you've heard,
Yes.
and the old one, Tim Curry one, which
Okay.
I still stand by as the best one, even with the claymation going down the sewer
Yeah.
pipe.
Best scene in the whole movie.
Yeah, that's an awesome scene. Which one do you stand by? Which one do you think would be your favorite?
I like the new one. I think he's a lot more creepy.
I do think he's scarier.
Yeah.
See, I
feel-
don't.
I love
Well-
Tim Curry.
I absolutely love the kids who are in the new one because there's the one from Stranger Things, and then there's another one from the Book of Henry and stuff like that.
See, I don't agree. I think the new one is too kind of hippish. I think the Tim Curry one is because Tim Curry's just absolutely creepy.
I like go watch the original one and it's terrible now.
Yeah, we watched it a couple weeks ago. Next on the honorable mention list here is Chucky from Child's Play and Ghostface from Scream. Those are the top the 3 honorable mentions that he puts on here. Number 10. I never wanted to go back in the ocean after I had seen this movie. The shark from Jaws. I think that's a good one. I will
Yeah,
give that one
that is
on
a
the
good
list,
one.
even though he's just a rampaging instinctive animal. There's still something vindictive about that shark. I don't like fish anyway. Shark just look, I
Well-
mean, any fish looks like they just want to kill you.
Macy is in fact having a Jaws birthday party.
Is she really?
Is she really?
Yes.
Oh, it's going to be awesome. I can't wait. Number 9, it was on the list for Megan, Leatherface, Chainsaw Massacre.
I've never watched that movie.
I don't
I
wanna
never
watch
will
that movie. I don't
there
wanna
is
watch it.
There is a big creep factor to the family part of that. Like
Yeah.
not necessarily Leatherface, but like the whole creepy family.
I think I've discussed this before, but I don't like the horror movies where it's just people being like vicious human beings. Like
Sure.
basically anything Rob Zombie has made,
Oh,
minus his remake of Halloween.
Right.
So that's kind of why. And also, the fake blood makes me sick. Like that really
Sure.
bright '70s orangish fake
In
blood.
your face.
We've talked about that before where you it comes goozing out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
goozing.
looks
That's the only
like
way you can
it's-
say
It
it.
looks like fake blood that's been sitting in the sun for about 25 years.
Right.
I think that's just the Technicolor.
Corn
It's just,
syrup.
Yeah.
yeah, it's just nasty. Chestbuster from Spaceballs.
Aaron, why did you put that on there?
Because I like Spaceballs.
Hello, my baby. Hello, my dog. Or whatever. It's the
So
same
shocking.
Pinhead from Hellraiser. Those movies freak me out. I can't watch the Hellraiser movies. Anything that has to do with pain just does not. I can't do it.
Well, the context of every Clive Barker horror story is pretty much the same subtext, and it's we'll just not go into it right now.
Yeah.
All right, thanks for that vague reference.
Number 6, Wilford Brinkley in The Thing.
It's the only horror villain with diabetes.
You know where I get my supplies? Well, I'm running from The Thing. Oh, man. Angela from Sleepaway Camp.
Oh,
That's
my
number
God.
5.
Oh my God, Aaron, you're a terrible.
It's
human.
terrifying.
It
It's
is that
terrifying.
last scene in that movie is terrifying. Susie, you're not allowed to watch that movie.
Okay.
No,
Even when
no.
you're like
Ever.
45,
You're
don't watch that
never
movie.
allowed to
Okay.
watch that movie. Holy cow, that movie's terrible.
Number 4 is Freddy Krueger from A Nightmare on Elm Street. I mean,
From
Classic.
Psycho.
the thing about that
There
was,
was a character in Psycho named Freddy Krueger.
well, here's the thing about the Freddy Krueger stuff is like when I was younger, and you all were the same age group, is they had like toys. Okay, it's a pedophile.
The first 3 films or the first 2 films are played serious.
Right, and then it just gets wacky.
Then it's just like, oh, everybody likes this character. So then when he starts being funny, there's a line that I won't quote, but in the 3rd film, you're on ready for prime time now. That's when it's, oh, this is funny. So yeah, there was children's costumes.
Yeah, it was like pajamas
Dolls
and
and-
everything.
yeah,
It was crazy.
Yeah, and when I was a kid, I wasn't allowed to watch those movies. But he was like the boogeyman on the playground. That's what everybody talked about was Freddy Krueger. And I would have nightmares about Freddy Krueger all the time. I still have never seen any of those movies, but he's terrifying to me.
You're not missing anything.
And this is
Yeah.
where the list comes off the wheels.
Uh-oh.
He's got number 3, Mike Myers from Saturday Night Live. I don't think
Oh
that's
my
the same
gosh.
Mike Myers that we're thinking of.
Why did you do that for Aaron?
Hey, Garth.
I'm telling you,
Come on,
Love
Sam.
Guru, Cat in the Hat, those are terrifying movies.
Charlie laugh.
He doesn't want to. Jason, number 2, Jason from Friday the 13th. I got a Jason from Friday the 13th story that is just terrifying. It was last year on Halloween.
Oh
Is
yeah, that was scary.
we went over to the dark side of the neighborhood. There was no like lights. There's no sidewalks.
That was terrifying. That was when you saw that one girl.
Yeah, that's when I
Remember?
saw the black-eyed child. It was crazy too. That was nuts.
I love that one song by the Black Eyed Childs.
No, you
Where
all-
is the love?
See, the reason
I thought you were
you
going to say, let's get started.
the reason you make fun is because it's the way you cope with your fear. I understand this. I work with middle schoolers. That's what they do.
psychologist John.
But there was this dude walking around in a Jason costume that he had made at home, and this thing was incredible. And it was freaky because he was like standing down one of the roads where there's no lights, just kind of standing there in the middle of the road by himself. It was like no,
Yeah, and he was following us around.
Yeah.
You should have offered him a hug.
no. I was
Nothing makes a bad guy good like a good.
no, I wasn't. If he had taken any more steps with that machete, I was going to offer him something else, but it wasn't going to be a hug. It was not something I didn't want to deal with that. In today's world, you just can't deal with it. I don't want to get social commentary, but that you just can't.
Sorry.
And number 1, with a bullet, Large Marge from Pee Wee's Big Adventure.
Oh,
I have to agree with that.
That was
Yeah.
terrifying.
Yes, I definitely have to agree
Aaron, you
with
redeemed
that.
yourself.
That terrified me as a child.
Oh my gosh.
2 movie scenes as a child that terrified me: the Large Marge and the woman in Superman 3 that got
Turned into a robot.
Got turned into
my!
a robot.
like frightened to the bone.
Yes.
Chilled.
That's insane. That is
Tell them Large
absolutely
Marge
nuts.
sent you.
On the podcast version, it won't be on the YouTube. It's not going to be on the YouTube version, or it might be. I don't know. I have to see if I can get in there. Put those. We're going to plug them in here at some point here during this time period, and we're going to merge them in. We'll probably put them on the. I'll probably put them on the YouTube one too if I can get around to doing that as well. But it is Halloween time, and different people see it different ways and have different views on this type of stuff. But I like a good ghost story, and I think that ghost stories are incredible. Tim, on the other hand, is not a ghost story person. Aaron-
Hold on, Aaron, are you a ghost story person?
Are you asking, do I believe in ghosts?
No, I mean, like, do you like a good ghost story, like a folklorish?
Or do you roll your eyes at it?
Oh, yeah, I like those because I listen to podcasts where they go over all that stuff. And, yeah, I really like those.
Which podcast?
It's called Astonishing Legends.
I'll tell you one I've got hooked up with lately and have really enjoyed listening to, and I don't have a problem plugging it on here, is one called Lore. Lore.
That's a good one.
That's I mean, not just is it a good ghost podcast, it is a very well put together and polished and edited
My
podcast.
favorite Lord song is Royals.
If you ever get a chance to listen to Lore, go ahead and do it. I mean, you can't really make fun of him because he pops off about 70 million downloads. So he's got it going on. He's got an Amazon series too. But I'm a big time into
I like
ghost stories.
Good ghost story. I do. But I also roll my eyes at a lot of them too.
My thing about it is not necessarily that it's a ghost story, or it's the lore or the story behind the story that I like. I like the haunted story.
I roll my eyes at Florida State football. What?
It's going to be funny because this is, a week after they played Louisville, so I don't really.
Yeah,
I'm
but
sure they beat the pants.
No,
off of
nobody
them.
here
I'll
really
make a joke.
cares. I mean,
terrible this year.
nobody really cares. I
care.
don't care at all. But Brian always talks about, and he's here and he laughs about it, but Brian's a big into ghost story thing. Brian likes ghost stories.
And your dead cat likes him a lot.
The
Brian
dead cat
is a
loves
ghost.
Brian. Now, the dead cat, this is our house, to be quite honest with you, and Tim doesn't believe it because he's never had an experience. I don't know if Charlie's ever experienced it either. But the house we've got a ghost cat that actually roams the house.
Yeah.
And Tim's making fun of it now, but he hasn't been here and experienced any of it.
It's really creepy.
And it started a while back. She died a couple years ago, right in this room where we do this podcast.
On this very night.
And no, what on this? It was in January.
10 years ago.
See, he doesn't want to even acknowledge.
Cat ate some raw chicken.
No, it wasn't raw. It was
Kentucky
cooked.
Fried Chicken. And I gave the cat the chicken.
Easy,
And
easy. It's okay. It's okay. Susie fed a cat chicken and choked on it and died. Okay, that's
Oh my gosh.
No, she had a heart attack. We'll just say that.
Those 11 herbs and spices are just really
Just too much
excited
for
her.
her.
Cholesterol went right to the heart.
That's how I want to go. KFC chicken.
With gravy, just slather it all over your face. Just there we go. But the ghost cat has made some appearances, and she makes a lot in January. But she hadn't been really around. Kenzie just freaked me out over there. I didn't know. I forgot she was down here. She's rolling. But Brian was sitting where Susie's sitting right now on the couch, and the ghost cat came up and rubbed around his legs, and he felt it, and he believes. Susie, you had a ghost cat experience
yes,
just
I've
a
had
while
two.
back. What was the one?
So I'll tell you the one that happened a few years ago first. So a few years ago, it was right before I had to go to school one morning, and I was laying in bed, and I felt like Murphy usually comes and jumps on my lap before I have to go and wake up for school. So I felt something jump on my lap, and I went to pet him, and there was nothing there. It was really scary, and that I didn't believe in the cat being a ghost either, but now I do.
Yeah, and one time we were sitting upstairs in the living room, me and Carla, watching TV, and we heard her. She came running down the staircase, and then through the living room, and went off somewhere. I've seen her once, and so we got a ghost cat.
Called the ghost cat.
I saw her one time run underneath the bed, and I thought it was Murphy. I just saw her tail going to the bed, and I came in there and see where he was, and he was laying in there on the couch asleep. And then another time, I came up the staircase, and this is when we're having a lot of crazy stuff going on around here, hearing things, and I saw a cat run under the kitchen table, and he was in the bedroom.
You sure you
with
just
Carla.
don't have another cat living in this house?
I don't know. Maybe one living in the
Maybe.
vents. Maybe one living in the vents. But a lot of people have had experiences with the ghost cat, with Katie running around here. But one of the creepiest things Brian always likes to talk about is the black-eyed children looking in the windows of the basement here. He gets real freaked out.
I got to be
about
honest with you. An uncovered basement window is creepy. Just because just knowing that anybody could just poke their head in, like I would freak out.
Look up there and there's somebody laying down there looking in the window at you.
It's just you saying that creeps me out.
Why do you
man.
think there's
Exactly.
Why do you think there's
Got the
curtains
heebies.
over.
I got the heebie-jeebies right now.
Oh yeah, it's creepy. Basements are creepy
Trying
anyway.
to feel these goosebumps.
Oh, our ratings just went up.
They're on my foot.
People ship us. Is that what I'm hearing?
But last Halloween, I was out at my sister's house, and we had to go over and see this one house that was really decorated up. I can't remember what it was, like clown Christmas.
It was
Halloween,
like a
something.
clown arcade.
Yeah,
thing.
clown arcade thing. And we got done. I'm standing there, and we had to walk back. And as I turned to go, there was this person who walked up beside me.
Through you?
No, that threw me. She just walked up beside me, but she was little bitty. I mean, this person was, short.
Was she a black-eyed child?
Yes.
And that was the creepiest thing about it was because she was looking at the ground, and then I kind of stepped out of her way, and she looked up at me, and she had cold black eyes. I mean, it was, and it wasn't like she was like a full-grown person. Susie saw her. She was a little
Leprechaun.
bitty person, and that's as close to a black-eyed children. You guys are just driving me nuts. I'm trying to share a very scary moment here.
Like you said, I'm coping with it by laughing.
And she just stared at me. And Susie was standing there with me. She didn't say anything. She just looked at us for a second. And her eyes are solid black. And then she just looks at the ground, just walks on up the street. And it was one of the weirdest experiences I've ever had in that. But Charlie has the story that takes the cake. Charlie tonight has got his story that started this podcast back a couple of Januaries ago as we were sitting down here. He told this story and he goes, "Hey, we need to start a podcast." And that's where it come from. So tonight, without further ado, we want to hear the story because I don't think Tim's ever heard it.
I listened to the podcast.
Yeah, Tim's heard it.
Oh, has he heard it?
I mean, I could tell.
I'll tell it again because it's a great
I
story.
I don't
heard
think
it.
Aaron hasn't heard it.
Okay,
'Cause
so
Aaron doesn't listen to it.
I work at a really old psychiatric hospital, and the one night this was several years ago because I worked there a while back, and then I just recently started about a year and a half ago. But one night I was taking the trash and linens out. Part of the job duties is you take the trash and linens down, and I had taken. I had gone to the other units and gotten their linens as well, their dirty linens, because it gave me an excuse to leave the unit. So I had grabbed a couple of bags and was going down to the linen room. And I've been down there numerous amounts of times. I can't, at least 100 times I'd gone into that room. But for some reason, when I shut the door, I felt something behind me. And but I knew that if I turned around and tried to see what it was, that I would die. I don't know what gave me that feeling, but like the room got cold, everything got cold. But I thought at first maybe I was just, whatever, it was nothing. So I started walking down the hallway. And as I kept walking, I felt like it was getting closer and closer. So a walk turned into a very quick walk.
A gallop.
The walk turned into a jog, and the jog turned into a full sprint down this hallway. So to get out of this hallway, there is either the elevator or a door to the left. There was also stairs, but for some reason I didn't think about doing that. So you have to key the elevators. You have to use your key that opens all the doors to get the elevator to move, and hit the key, and you could hear the elevator. Whenever the elevator was going to move, you could hear it moving. Keyed it, nothing. No movement, usually there's some sort of mechanical sound. There was nothing. And I knew that this thing was getting closer. So I turned to my left. I didn't turn all the way because if I turned all the way, I would have seen it, or it would have seen me or whatever. Put my key in the door, it won't turn. Like, the locks are that happens quite often. The old locks don't turn. You got to kind of jimmy the key. And I knew it was getting extremely close. Finally got the door open and ran all the way outside. And that's the ghost story. I don't know what it was. And Tim's shaking his head.
I didn't shake my head.
Oh, you were sitting there shaking.
I did
You're
not
sitting
shake
there
my head.
Judging. All the judging.
I was trying to pretend I was in your exact situation.
You were astral projecting.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's the only encounter really. I mean, there was some other. Everybody's got their own stories.
There was that one.
Everybody's got their own stories about the hospital and different encounters with the supernatural. And then I found out later on, after I told somebody else the story, that back when the hospital first opened, the room we now put the dirty linens in was the morgue. So
that's one of the best. That's one of the best ghost stories in the family. I think everybody has their own ghost stories. I mean, I always have the one about over there by your all's house when I dropped my wife off after I can't remember what it was now, ring ceremony or whatever it was, our senior year, and there's a school over there now called Farnsley Middle School, but it used to not be there. It was just this big open field, and we gone to some after parties and stuff, and I drove her home. It was about 3 o'clock in the morning. It was foggy. It's down by the river, and as I was coming back, you have to come past this cemetery. It's a little bitty old family cemetery by the Farnsley house, and it's an old house built in the late 1700s, early 1800s. As I went by it, there was a guy standing there on the sidewalk looking into the cemetery. And that ain't nothing that I ever really thought, because there's a bus stop right down the road. It was early in the morning. I thought, well, he's waiting for his bus. But went by him. He kind of turned around and looked at the car. And I kept watching him in my rear view mirror because there's a stoplight there. And as I went to go over the hill to stop, I looked up, and he starts walking across the middle of the road. And when he gets about the yellow line, he just kind of vanishes into nothing. And I don't think I stopped any more red lights on the way home that night. That's really my big spooky story.
John's bowels vanished into his pants.
It wasn't quite that bad, but it's pretty unique. It's stuff that you just don't have all the time happen to you. I mean, it isn't like, some people have ghost stories happen to you all the time. You're like, oh, whatever, that's ridiculous.
Tim, has anything spooky ever happened to you?
Nothing has ever happened to you, Tim?
Aaron, do you remember any spooky things from our childhood?
I actually just have weird stuff happen. Not really spooky, but just bizarre things that never happened to anybody else happens to me. But nothing really spooky.
Yeah, that's true. Like that. I remember that one time we were on horses on a horse trail and ours stopped. That's like the weird stuff that happens to us. We just have terrible luck. Bad luck. Nothing ever spooky or creepy.
Every time your dad's friend would come to town, he'd make you
come out here wash his car.
Yeah, no. I when you asked me to like the creepiest thing that ever happened to me, we just watched that movie with, oh my gosh,
Event Horizon.
Oh my gosh, that movie is absolutely
that
horrible.
movie where like every time something scary is about to happen, the lights go completely black and everything. We were watching that movie. We just finished it, and the electricity went out in our house, and the dog ran down the stairs. It was like, and we all kind of screamed. But like that was it.
Was Brian Pate with y'all that evening?
There's a good chance.
I didn't know if that was Brian involved with that or not.
Brian or Doug, somebody like that.
Now, my mom, like I said, we're going to add in right here some of the stories that she told last year, and she's got some crazy stories from their childhood. But that all comes from the country, and that's a creepy haunted place up there. That's some weird stuff.
So, anyways, mom's got some of the serious ghost stories, the ones that'll keep you up at night, ones that we'd love to hear, and. So she's going to be telling us some of them.
These are actual stories. They happen actually to me and my brothers and sisters and stuff. But Grandpa and Rosie, his second wife, lived up in Henry County, and it was down an old country road. And then you had to turn out into their driveway, which was probably, about a fourth of a mile.
Yeah, it was maybe even farther than that, maybe half a mile.
Right. And this house, it had the bottom and it had an upstairs. And we'd go up there, probably every 2 weeks, 3 weeks or something. Well, this house always had a feeling to it. There was just something strange about this house. And I had never really talked a whole lot about it or anything. And then my brother Dewey was over yesterday. And something come about Grandpa's house. And he looked at me. He said, that house was evil. And I says, what makes you think I'd do it? And he says, because there was always the feeling that there was something up those stairs waiting on you. So this made me remember the story. When I was 12 years old, I decided to spend a week up there. Don't ask me why, but I did it. And so I did fine till I seen Mom and Dad and the family driving off across the ridge and everything, leaving me there. And so, we did good. Me and Rosie, we did everything. And nighttime rolled around. And she said, well, I guess it's about bedtime. So I was going to be the big brave girl, and I was going to sleep upstairs. So here I go. I go up the steps, and I'm looking all around and everything like this. And when you got to the top of the steps, you could go to the left to a smaller room or to the right to a bigger room. And so I decided I'm going to sleep in the big room. So I go in and I shut the door. And I pulled that door shut and I made sure that door was shut. Well, the only light in the room was a light that hung from the ceiling and had a string on it. And you had to turn it off and then get into bed. So I did. I'm looking all around, making sure nothing was in there and everything. So I pulled the string. The light room went dark. Being the country, it's naturally dark. And I jumped in the bed. And so I'm laying there, and I pulled the cover up around me because I'm scared of the dark anyway. So I'm laying there, and I've got my eyes shut and everything. And then I heard it. I heard something shuffle on the floor coming from that doorway. And I'm going, what in the world is that? Then I heard another shuffle. And pretty soon it sounded like footsteps just shuffling across that floor. And I'm laying there and I'm like this. I'm shaking. I'm not kidding. I was terrified. I couldn't get up and get the light because whatever this was between me and the light. And so I'm laying there and I pulled the cover up around me and everything. And all of a sudden I heard something breathing. I heard breath. It was going like it. And I'm going, oh my gosh, what is that? What is that? And I was so scared. I just pulled the cover up over my head and everything. And I laid there. And then all of a sudden I heard it shuffle back towards the door. And I thought, well, maybe Rosie come in there or Liz or something and to check on me. But the door never opened. It stopped.
Like I'm done.
It stopped right at the door. Well, inside there was an old closet and had all these old clothes hanging there. I don't know. Probably it was 50, 60 years old or something like that. And the shuffling stopped. Well, I laid there a long time, and I was so scared I couldn't move. And finally, I guess I fell asleep because next thing I knew, it was morning time. So I woke up, and I'm looking all around. The door was still just as locked and shut as I had done it the night before. And I tell you, I got out of that room a lot quicker than I went into it. And I hit the landing outside, and I ran down them steps, and I went into the living room and stuff. And the next night, I told Rosie, I said, I'm not sleeping up there. I said, I'm going to sleep here on the couch. Well, the doorway to the upstairs was there in the living room. And all night long, I had this feeling that there was something standing at that door. Right there at that door. And right in the living room, they had to heat the house with an old wood stove. And they had to go upstairs and turn this vent on in this room. And anytime you sat down there, and if you looked up, it was like something was looking at you.
Oh, jeez.
It just, but this wasn't the only story about that room. My brother stayed up there. He stayed up there a lot. And he was probably, I don't know, 12, 13, something like that.
Brian's about to jump out of his skin.
And so he went upstairs to sleep. And he was up there, and he said he closed the door just like I did and everything. And he was laying there, and he heard something fooling with that light switch, like this, you know. And he thought, what in the world is that? And then he heard these footsteps, and then out in the hallway, he heard the light switch being fooled with. The door did not open. The door was just like that, you know, it had closed. And he said that after that, he would never sleep up there again. Then my sister, who was 10 years younger than me, they had two beds up there, and Mom and Dad one night was sleeping in this bed, and me and Vicki and Bonnie was in this other bed. And Bonnie said that she woke up sometime during the night. It had to be maybe 2, 3 in the morning or whatever. And so she sat up in bed, and she always liked to sit up and make sure everybody was still there and everything. And so she sat up, and she seen a figure standing by Mom and Dad's bed, and said it was a man. And said that she just stood there with her, you know, with her eyes open like this, and said the man turned around, and when he turned around, said he had an axe in his hand.
Oh, heck no.
And now she told me this story 100 times, and she said, and she just kind of like this, you know, and said that he turned back around, and when she looked again, he was gone. He had just disappeared.
That's one of the best stories ever. I mean,
in this house, always, even up until the time I got older and everything, I would not go up them steps by myself. And I would never do it. And even if you went up with somebody, you had this strange feeling that there was something bad up there, that something was watching you. And I just never would go up those steps by myself again.
Yeah. Now the backstory that my Uncle Dennis told about the axe guy was that part of the history is that when they were building the house, they hewed the wood off the property. And there was a guy who was helping hew the wood that got his axe stuck in a piece of wood, and it was a double-edged axe, and he pulled it out. When he did, the axe came back and hit him in the face. and they took him up to that room, and he died in that room, and they had his funeral in the parlor there.
Grandpa Lewis told me they had a funeral in that house.
Yeah.
Before.
So that's kind of the.
My beard just turned gray.
Yeah,
I tell you right now.
We're gonna. Oh, Mom's got one more.
Keep him going.
And
Keep him
then
going.
I had an uncle, Kenneth, and he lived in this great big old house back in the field. Big old house, old and everything. Well, the family that lived there before him had 2 teenage daughters. Their room was upstairs, and they had it fixed up like teenagers and stuff. Well, one day they went down to the lake, and one of them got in trouble, and she started drowning, and the other one jumped in after. Both of them drowned right there in that lake by the house. And so after that, the family moved out, but they left everything up in the girls' rooms just like they left it. They just couldn't stand to take any of it or anything. So my uncle moved in there. Well, we was there one day, and I went into the side room to play with some dolls or something that was there, and I just barely shut the door. I didn't even lock it or anything like that. And they said that you could hear these girls every once in a while come down the steps. Well, I didn't think nothing of it. I thought it was all just hokey, like that. And so I was in the floor playing, and I heard something coming down those steps. And I'm going, maybe it's my brothers or something like that. And the back door to this room would open from the steps. And I heard that door open and I heard footsteps coming across the floor. And I'm sitting there and I'm getting terrified. And I'm looking around and there's nothing there. Absolutely nothing. But you could hear those slight footsteps coming towards you. So I reached up to get my door and it was shut. And it was locked And I'm screaming, and I've got the doorknob in my hand, and I'm screaming for my mother. And Mom heard me from the kitchen, and she come running in there. She couldn't get the door open either. And all the time, you could hear these little footsteps, And I'm terrified.
Game over. Thanks for playing, folks.
I'm pulling, and Mom's shoving on it and everything. Finally, all of a sudden, the door just opened. Just like that. I took out of that room. I never went in there before. And Daddy had told me that he slept in that room before, and he could hear footsteps in that room, and he could hear the coat hangers moving in the closet.
I told you Mom had some of the best.
Yeah.
You tell a good story.
I'm not going to sleep at all.
And these are all true stories.
It's creepy. It's creeped me out. I've heard them before.
Yeah.
This is a good one.
And I'll tell you one short one real quick too. The other night,
Mom's on a roll.
Keep it
you're
going.
talking about our house. You're talking about our house. Well, I never had heading fear or anything like that. But I was laying there and I was about half asleep.
Now, when was this? Was this recently?
Yes,
Okay.
about a week ago. I was about half asleep, and I was laying there, and it felt like somebody came up and they touched me on the shoulder like this. And I went, like this, and I sat up in bed, and I went, and John, I had never had a sound like that come out of me before, but I knew something had touched me on that shoulder.
Yeah.
And I was just terrified.
My grandparents used to live in a house on Southern Parkway, and I don't think there's a house on Southern Parkway.
I lived
that's
in a
not-
house on Southern Parkway briefly. That was creepy.
Where on Southern Parkway did you live?
I have no idea. That's when we first moved here. It was just Dad and I before Aaron and Mom.
Oh, and they
moved
got
up
some
here.
big old creepy houses.
We lived up in a second story.
Oh,
rented
man.
part of it.
Yeah.
Smelled like mothballs.
Those are horrible places. But they had a house there that supposedly a lady had passed away in the bathroom upstairs.
I'm sure they did.
And had a heart attack in the bathtub. And they had that same old claw-footed bathtub up there when they moved in. And, of course, they told stories. And every time me and my sister, when we were yet little, they're like, we got to go to the bathroom. My grandma's like, well, go up there and use the bathroom by yourselves. You don't need us. And we'd have to walk up this staircase to this place. And when you go in and shut the door, you never wanted to look in the mirror. You never wanted to look in the bathtub or pull the curtain back from the bathtub. And the neighbors would tell them, yeah, every once in a while we see we see an old woman standing up there in your bathroom window looking out.
All I can think of is the scene from The Shining.
Oh, yeah. Well, I still that house still haunts my ever loving nightmares to this day, because I had to stay upstairs one time when my dad was out of town, and me and my mom and sister stayed there, and they had the bedroom, and then they had this little bitty door that was like a half door, and you opened it up and there's a little half room behind it, and there was a little twin bed in there, and my grandma was like, well, you can sleep in there.
Yeah, I mean, something like that would creep me out, but like nothing's ever creepy happened to me. I don't know.
Nothing really ever happened. There was just this feeling, this, and I don't really say it's like ghosts, but it's just this old feeling, this presence of oldness, I guess is the best way to say it. History bearing down on the place.
Probably because I don't really believe in anything like that is part of the reason why nothing. And the other part is because deep down I know I'm a chicken, And if I were to allow those feelings to overtake me, I would probably have like a panic attack. And
Well, and that's the thing about it is with me is I understand like my faith. My faith in our religious tradition, as Baptists, ghosts are kind of tabooish, but it just, I don't know, there seems to be something, sometimes. Charles got his hand up.
There's ghosts in the Old Testament.
Yeah, but, as we as Christians, it's like absent from the body is present with the Lord, but yeah, I don't know what else, but I don't really know what else is out there. So.
That is actually one of my favorite Bible stories is the one with where Saul attempts to, or doesn't attempt to. Yeah. He hires a warlock to
the Witch of Endor.
Yeah. Wicket in the Bible. Different Endor, sorry, but he calls forth this. He is so powerful. He's able to call forth the spirit of Solomon.
Samuel.
And he is a smart aleck. It's my favorite.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think in some instances
Samuel basically calls him an idiot.
Yeah, and tells him he's going to die.
No, basically, it's hilarious.
It's a very creepy story. It's one of the creepier stories in the Bible. But I believe there has to be something to some of this stuff at some point. I mean, there's just got to be something to it. I mean, not necessarily maybe Aunt Edna, but I mean, there's got to be something that's causing this, and it's because it's too prevalent, and too many people see too much stuff for it all to be fake.
Well, that's one of my favorite things about anything supernatural. Some people just say it's demons. One of my favorite stories was that's what the aliens are. They're demons in spaceships. Actually heard that in church one time, and my response was, why do demons need spaceships? Why does God need a spaceship?
Why does God need a spaceship? That's one of the best lines ever. We have some this thing is not participating. We have a Halloween scarf or barf this evening. Happy Halloween, everybody. It's Tuesday. And tonight, because Halloween is a time of mystery, Halloween is a time of
spoopiness.
Spoopy.
I'm going to fall out of this chair.
That would be the greatest.
The ghost cat just pushed John out of his chair.
It's not as strong as you.
Tonight we have mystery Oreos. Now, Charlie was psyched about this earlier.
I'm still psyched about it.
Is this the contest where if you guess the mystery flavor, they give you money?
Yeah. $50,000. Think about the set we could build with $50,000.
Think about how much I could pay on my house.
Yeah, I'd be over. I'd be like, well, that's it. Pass them around.
I could buy a pair of fry boots.
It smells like a urinal cake.
What? Why do you know what urinal cakes smell like?
But you ever? Yeah, come on. You're Baptist. You got to swab out a urinal every once in a while.
I don't think I've ever swabbed out a urinal.
They smell like Fruit Loops, man.
Yeah, I know. All right.
They do smell like Fruit Loops.
So this is the mystery.
Does Kinsey not get one?
Oh, Kinsey. Does Kinsey want one?
Here you go, Kinsey.
Kinsey's our in-house audience this evening. She's trying to figure out whether she's on video or not. Do you want to be on the? You want to be on there? You can come over and get. Whoa.
Here, go sit on the couch.
Yeah, you can sit over on the couch. There you go.
There's Kinsey.
She's come in this evening.
Spoopy Kinsey.
So is everybody ready?
Okay.
All right, here we go. On three.
They
One,
are Fruit Loops, man.
2, 3.
It's Fruit Loops.
A urinal cake.
It's legit Fruit Loops.
Like, you need to go with the contest and submit Fruit Loops as the mystery flavor.
Oh, wait. Oh. There's a weird aftertaste.
No, that's Fruit Loops. Fruit Loops have a weird aftertaste.
Yeah, that's
I
definitely.
really want to put this in a bowl of milk.
Yeah, it's got a Fruit Loopy taste to
I just want
it.
to put this in a bowl of milk.
Now, I don't really think I don't know if it actually like works with Oreo though. I kind of a purist when it comes to Oreo.
You know, if you take a Fruit Loop and you stick it out in somebody's yard right before it rains, it'll actually spread the color out into the grass.
I thought you were going to say it's going to turn about the size of an inner tube.
I'll pass.
Well,
it's a really strong lemon.
yeah,
I say now it's lemony, yeah.
citrusy.
But Fruit Loops. Did you know that Fruit Loops are actually all the same flavor?
Mm-hmm.
You just think they're not because of the color.
Never thought they're not. Sorry, I'm not trying to poo-poo on your
Everyone thought
theory,
about
but
about choke death.
Aaron, what's your thought on the mystery Oreos?
Kind of tastes like varnish.
you're not
You
far
don't
off,
have to
man.
eat it,
Well,
Kinsey.
I'm not really going to say that I would barf it. I'm going to take the Charlie out. It's not bad,
No, I would barf it.
but I guess if I have to set my
the first bite's not bad, but
First bite is the.
I guess I'm going to have to say, because it's not a traditional Oreo,
No, it's terrible, John. You
And-
can say it.
and it's just a little bit out there. I think I'm
I
going to
gotta
have
remember-
to definitely say barf it.
To not drink all of my Pepsi before the scarf and barf because I need that right now.
if we won the $50,000, would you install a Pepsi machine down here in the basement?
No, I would not.
Be a Coke machine.
Oh, I know you would.
Well, anyway,
Do you have a would you rather to close us out, John?
I do.
Wait, did anybody scarf this?
No, it's a barf for me.
It's a barfaroni. John is
It
dying.
sounds literally like
Gosh,
John's going to.
John is
All right,
dying.
here is our would you rather, Halloween would you rather this evening. For one night, are you ready, Susie? For one night, would you rather be chased by a killer for a whole night in the middle of nowhere? It's got a picture of Jason. Or be possessed by a demon a whole night?
To me, that's easy. Possessed by a demon.
No, not my answer. I think I'd rather be chased by a killer than
Like,
possessed by a demon.
am I going to remember anything that happens to me while I'm possessed by this demon?
Yes, all of it. We're going to video.
You'll be it'll be a
if
10
you show
million.
it to me later on YouTube or whatever, I'll be like, "Oh man, that's crazy." But like, am I remembering it like as it's happening?
Depends on what type of
Like
powers.
if you watch it on YouTube later and my head spins around and I vomit all over everybody, I'm just like, wow, that must have been really hard for you guys. But like if it's me in the middle of the woods being chased by like a killer that I know I can't like kill, yeah, and that would haunt me for the rest of my life. But like if it's like I'm just blacked out and possessed by a demon.
Do you know you're going to survive the killer, even though you're being chased all
It doesn't
night?
say. I guess.
If
One
I
night.
know I'm going to be surviving, then yes, I would think
Well,
that would
then
be.
that's not
Yeah.
scary at all.
Well, I mean, you can
I
still be
think you're
maimed,
going to be
but I
under
mean,
the. I
survive.
think you're going to be under the impression you're going to die.
I'm going to go with the killer because
killer.
Same.
I'm gonna go with killer because I don't want to ever give up control of my faculties.
Aaron, please back me up on this.
I'm gonna go with possession because I don't want to be terrorized all night.
Exactly.
They would rather be the ones terrorizing us.
Exactly, man.
So
yeah,
what if?
yeah, because I don't have to deal with it. I mean, I'm just like, I'm out. It's like I'm under anesthesia
So
or
are
something.
Tim and Aaron going to chase us around? Is that what it is?
Yeah,
I
that's
mean-
pretty much what it is.
It's
Oh, well, then
fine
I will mess up a demon Tim.
David Tim like,
Why are my toes hurting so bad? Because Charlie took a ball peen hammer to him.
Look, I mean, you got to think that Demon Tim is a lot scarier than regular Tim.
I don't regular Tim's kind of scary.
all right. Well, happy Halloween, everyone.
Happy Halloween.
No, I'm not done with this. I am
come
not
on.
done with this. Why would you want to be chased by a killer
We're being
Why would you
we're
want to be possessed
for
by a
8
demon?
hours?
finally Brian
8
speaks over there.
8, 12 hours.
See, even Kenzie's she's all into it.
Goodness gracious. I mean, but if it's just me, like, chained to a bed, because, like, you guys are scared I'm going to float off somewhere, and you got a
Oh, my
priest yelling,
gosh.
"The power of Christ compels you," or whatever.
Happy Halloween, everybody.
Happy Halloween.
Sorry, Brent.
See you later, players.
Thank you, YouTubers.
Sorry, Brent.